webinar. If you didn't just get that message popped up, we are actually recording this webinar. So if you could make sure that you click on that got it button so that everybody knows that we are recording it for people who didn't get a chance to watch right now, but hopefully will come back. I'm Denise Pajukanix, and I'm part of the WQED education team. And I am both a classroom teacher and a school librarian, and now I'm part of the WQED team. And I have with me my co-presenter partner, Elaine Volpe, and she is the children's librarian at Bethel Park Library. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Teachable Moments videos that IQ Smart Parent has been putting up on the QED website. Has anybody taken a look at those videos already? Have you seen those videos so far? Anybody seen those? No? All right, that's okay, because we're going to share them with you today, and actually that's pretty good. So what we have is a series of teachable moments. And a teachable moment is a chance for caregivers, for parents, grown-ups, to kind of teach something informally to the kids that are in our lives. And for some of these moments, we contacted some of our local partners and we asked them to make a really short little video about something that would be sort of attention grabbing for kids. And hopefully it would be something that we could turn into a teachable moment. So we're going to check out these quick little videos, and then we're going to talk about how we can incorporate these ideas and others into like informal learning situations, a chance to kind of talk to our kids and learn together with our kids. The thing about most of these teachable moments is that they're not usually planned, but some of them can be. And once we become aware of how to use them better, then we sort of just kind of see them in our natural conversation. And that's really what we're hoping for. So we have in our chat the WQED Smart Parent. That's going to show you the website to how to get there, but I'm actually going to show them to you right now. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start with a quick little presentation about it. And we'll take a look at those videos while we're here. All right, everybody see? Yeah? All right, great. All right, so we're going to start with the first three little teachable moments.
Hi, my name is Emily. As an opera singer,
So Denise, can you pause the video for a second?
I can.
So when you go onto the top bar where it says more, you need to select share computer sound or something.
Oh, more,
Yeah.
because are you not getting the sound? All
Correct.
right, let's try that. Let me back her up then.
Thank you.
Sure.
My name is Emily Gallagher, and this is my teachable moment. As an opera singer, I use my singing voice to tell stories on a stage. Sometimes when I'm on stage, I wear a costume, but other times I wear a fancy dress, just like this. When we sing, there are lots of different ways that we can use our voices. We can sing high. We can sing low. Is there almost every night. We can sing fast. We can sing slow. We can sing quiet. Or we can sing loud. Me, good king. Explore your voice at home. How many different ways can you sing?
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Hi, I'm Jim Scriven from the Pittsburgh CLO Academy, and this is my teachable moment. I'm going to show you how you can use all your emotions in an acting game called These Pretzels Are Making Me Thirsty. All you need is a pen or pencil, some pieces of paper, and a friend or family member. You can play with as many people as you like. Write down any emotion that you can think of. It could be excited, sad, angry, scared. What other emotions can you think of? Put those pieces of paper in a basket or just in the middle of the room. Select the paper one at a time and say, "These pretzels are making me thirsty," using the emotion that you picked. Can your friend or family member guess what emotion you are using?
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Excited.
We all have a range of emotions and feelings in our lives, and that's a great thing by pretending we get to use them all. On or off stage, this game is a great way to explore your feelings and build your confidence. Enjoy!
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Hi, I'm Sarah,
Hi, I'm Allison,
and we are from Attack Theater Dance Company.
and this is our Teachable Moment.
This is an activity we do all the time at Attack Theater called Make a Dance.
It's fun at any age and can be done on your own or with your friends and family.
All you need is a little bit of space in your imagination.
First, make a tall, circular shape. Next, make a small, square shape. All right, let's put the two together.
Now that we have those two, let's add a fun action word or verb to put in the transition. Allison, can you give us a verb to put in the middle and show us what it would look like?
Let's do wiggle.
Awesome. Let's try all of that together. And then let's add your favorite dance move at the end.
Ta-da! You've officially made your own dance. Now try adding some music to really make it your own.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Okay, great. So those first three videos really encourage kids to share their feelings, right? And then they give us 3 fun examples of ways that we can do just that. And I think children being able to express their feelings is extremely important because it's a skill that they're going to need all throughout their life, right? It's actually a life skill. Knowing how to express your feelings and not only express them, but know how to do so appropriately and effectively is something that they'll carry with them all the way through adulthood. So I just think they're great games. They're fun. I know in my family, we love family game night. So I want to play, especially that pretzel one. I think that looks super cool. But in these pretzels are making me thirsty, I think it also allows children to learn new feelings. So maybe ones that they've certainly felt before, but weren't able to label, right? And I also think it's a great game to build children's vocabularies because while the words happy and sad can be in there, so can bewildered or melancholy. So I think it's a great game to get children to learn how to express their feelings, but also build their vocabularies at the same time. And Make a Dance, I think that one is great because you're allowing kids to burn off energy that we know they have, right? Especially after a long day at school or whatever the case may be. And they're burning off that energy, again, in a fun way that empowers them. And I think can really build their self-esteem because it's their dance. They're coming up with those dance moves, right? And so when you can give a child ownership of something, I think that's extremely important too, and boosts their confidence levels for sure. And then the opera one, your voice tells a story. It encourages kids to explore their voices. And I think that's extremely important too, just that children know that they can speak out, right? That they don't have to be quiet all the time, that they shouldn't be quiet all the time. Even here in the library, like Denise said, I work here at the Bethel Park Public Library. We're not shushing them. We don't want them to be quiet. We want to hear those voices and we want them to learn how to use those voices. So all of these videos also demonstrate play of sorts, right? And I think Mr. Rogers said it best when he said that play is a child's work. They learn so much through play about themselves, about others, and about the world around them. And you know, so in addition to that, they're also demonstrating, like we said, ways that they can express their feelings, but also better understand and manage their feelings. That again, is a life skill. They not only need to know that as kids, but even as teens and then as adults. So I think these 3 activities are great and they're simple and they're easy to do. But I also like to think of other everyday opportunities that can accomplish the same thing, right? So I was kind of thinking back to when my kids were younger and we kind of had this tradition every day at the dinner table where they had to tell me the best part of their day and then the worst part of the day. And then my one son came up with the middleest part of the day, like, so the okayest thing that happened to him. And that just became a ritual. And I think dinner time is a super opportunity to take time to, you know, just talk to one another and, you know, ask how their day was and get them to express those feelings. So car rides were another big opportunity that we took advantage of, right? Ask them about how their day was in the car, especially if you have a long car ride. That's like the perfect opportunity to talk. I've seen kids like have charts on the refrigerator or on their bedroom door where they can just kind of, you know, post an emoji as to how they're feeling. All of these ways, there's just, and then again, like Denise said, that's what a teachable moment is. It's like an everyday opportunity that kind of just happens and opens itself up to this world of learning. So there's so many possibilities out there. Again, that dinner time one, I really do emphasize dinner time, not only like eating your meal, but having kids help prep the meal in the kitchen, like cooking together is a great quality time too. So yeah, I don't know. I thought they were fun activities, fun games to play, and I'm looking forward to trying a few out myself. Do we have anything to add to that, Denise?
I don't, but do we want to stop here? Does anybody have any questions or have any comments or something that maybe they're already doing to sort of do this like daily check-in with their own kids that they feel like they want to share? Or maybe something that the kids have brought home from school, or any ideas that they'd like to share either in the chat or by unmuting. If you're too shy to talk, you can always chat. No. All right, that's okay. We're gonna move. Oh, go ahead.
Wait, I have something.
Go ahead, bud.
I am pretty shy, but I'm gonna share. But I honestly do think you can't underestimate how important it is to teach these kids early to share their feelings. Because, I kind of said it jokingly to myself, but when you become an adult, you feel like there's pressure to hide your feelings. And I really like that childhood education, early childhood education, all age childhood education is telling kids that it's cool to like express how you feel.
Hi, my name is Emily Gallagher, and this.
Sorry, didn't mean to turn her back on. I think you're right, though. I think that's important that as grownups, we don't always, or sometimes it's a conflicting, we're sending one message, but we're actually feeling something different. And so being able to put words and vocabulary to how we really are feeling is important. And I think you're right about that. As grownups, we don't always, we do try and mask it, or we aren't exactly authentic with the feelings that we're feeling. Someone else in the chat said something about the car rides, the pickups. I know, like with my kids, that was always driving back and forth to sporting events. That was always a big time to sort of do that check-in. A lot of times when kids are vulnerable, that's kind of a good time to talk. And so like after a losing game, or when either end, when they've won or when they've lost, sometimes that's the best time to talk to them because they're sort of already vulnerable, they're feeling things. And a lot of times that brings out good feelings too, or a good time to talk about things. So that's also important. All right, I'm gonna move on then to the last two videos. These are really quick, actually. These next two sort of have a bit of a different vibe. So let's see what happens with these two.
Hi, my name is Jason Hibner, and I'm the program director for STEM Coding Lab, and this is my teachable moment. Computer science can be intimidating, but did you know that one of the most basic concepts of coding, an algorithm, is something that we use every single day? When I cook, I use a recipe. That's an algorithm. Even my morning routine is an algorithm. They're all algorithms because they use a step-by-step process to solve a problem. Just like a computer programmer uses a step-by-step process to create a new code or program. All you need to practice this at home are 2 pieces of paper, something to write with, and a partner. First, you need to draw a house on a piece of paper, labeling all the steps as you go. But make sure they can't see it. You're going to use detailed instructions to teach your partner how to recreate your house on their piece of paper. In this activity, you become the coder, the picture is the code, and your partner becomes the computer.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Hi, I'm Boaz Frankel, and this is my teachable moment. I'm planting some herbs, which might not seem that exciting, but here's a secret. Herbs are crazy because these plants and humans have a long and strange relationship that goes back thousands of years. And it probably all started because some ancient person was wandering around a Mediterranean hillside and their tunic brushed against a plant just like this, and they thought, huh, that smells pretty good. Later in the Middle Ages, they believed that thyme could help you pass gas and that oregano could treat something called a watery stomach. I Guess that's sort of like medieval tummy ache. And they might have been right about some of that stuff, because we now know that many herbs do have antibacterial properties. The ancient Greeks had herb gardens, and they believed that rosemary was good for your memory. So a Greek student might take a sprig of rosemary and tuck it behind their ear to help them remember the Pythagorean theorem. These 3 herbs are great to grow together because they all originated in the same Mediterranean climate. So next time you have a watery stomach, maybe nibble on some oregano.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Hi.
I don't know how I got so lucky to talk about these 2 videos, but they really are 2 of my favorite educational opportunities. Coding is really just the very basics of computer coding, and kids start that earlier and earlier. So depending on what grade you're in or what grade your kids are in, sometimes they start as early as kindergarten, and you can definitely actually start it with preschoolers as well. So you're never too early to start that interest or start introducing that interest of computer programming and those like STEM kind of skills. Computer programming is super important because one of the most important things it does is it does teach problem solving skills. So it's a very basic way of teaching kids how to face the adversity, how to sometimes fail, how to sometimes make mistakes, how to try all over again. When they learn to code, they sort of learn this bounce back activity after failure, and that failure is not a bad thing. It just means that it can be positive because it teaches us that it's a learning opportunity. We can keep trying until we get it right. And coding actually does that. This very basic form of coding that he's showing us, which is just being able to follow an algorithm, is just like taking a big problem and breaking it up into small steps. So it's one of the things that he does is he shows you the how to draw a house. So you're just somebody is following directions that you're giving them. And that's really what you're doing when you're doing computer coding. You are getting the computer to follow the directions that you're putting in. So one of the ways he does it is he says, like, if I give you directions, can you draw a picture? But another way you could do it is, let's come up with the directions to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Let's take this big thing of making the sandwich, but let's break it up into small little pieces. Another thing that you could do is drawing a treasure map, putting things all over the house, and then actually drawing the map and seeing if they can follow the children, or you could vice versa, it doesn't matter, follow the steps for being able to find all of those things that are hidden around the house. Because it's about following the directions and being able to follow through all of the different steps. One of a cute idea that I saw, which was kind of building a maze in the house or even in the backyard, and seeing if you can talk the child through the maze, or making it even harder by blindfolding, and sort of going through a corn maze blindfolded, where you have to give the steps and somebody has to follow the steps. Because that's what computer programming is. It's being able to take that big thing and break it up into
tell
really
you to,
small pieces.
or put your like mask on like this.
Yeah. You can also do it with sequencing a story, because that is also the thing about computer programming. It's going to help us with math skills, but it's also going to help us with writing skills later on too, because it's taking those small pieces and being able to see how they lead up to something bigger. So puzzles are another thing that you can do because it's the problem solving. The computer programming and the coding activities, there's lots of things online. One of the other things that PBS has is it has a Scratch Junior app that you can find that is also good for very basic block coding, which just teaches us how to put things together and being able to follow the sequence of things. So algorithms are sort of one of the very basic steps for coding, and it's a really great start with preschoolers and young kids, 1st and 2nd grade, as they learn the basics of being able to put it together. And kind of actually the dance one is actually writing an algorithm as well, because it's following the steps, being able to remember the steps, and being able to kind of take apart the dance into all of the little pieces that lead up to it. So again, that's sort of like combining two of them and being able to like kind of stop and talk to your child about why you're doing that so that they can see how they're taking the pieces apart. Now, the last video, I think I could talk about for an hour and a half all by itself, because the last video is all about gardening. Now, Boaz kind of just kind of focuses on herb gardens, but the thing about gardening is that gardening isn't a teachable moment. It really isn't. A garden or having anything to do with gardening is like a million teachable moments all together, because when you garden, when you grow something, there are a million opportunities for those pieces of learning little bits of information, capturing somebody's interest in something, because gardening has so many different facets. So I can't grow anything. I have what's the opposite of a green thumb? I have that thumb. Everything I touch, nothing grows. And I didn't really have a lot of interest in gardening at all until I started doing it at my school about 5 years ago. And I was hooked, because even if something doesn't grow, and I think this is something that I learned about gardening, even if it doesn't grow, there are still a bunch of little moments that happen even when there's failure to it, because you learn so much. There's a million things you can talk about with gardening. You can talk about the plants. You can talk about where you're going to plant them. You can talk about what kind of plants you're going to build, what kind of plants you're going to grow, what kind of things you like to eat, what kind of things you don't like to eat, what kind of things smell good in the garden. And those are only the things that are edible plants. You can talk about how you're going to protect your garden. You can do lessons about what can you build so that your garden is protected. There's a great book called Muncha, 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 where Mr. McGregor is trying to grow some carrots, and he's trying to keep these rabbits out. And he comes up with all of these different defenses about his garden. He tries putting a fence up. He tries putting a wall up. He tries digging a trench around his garden. And those pesky rabbits still find a way to get into the garden. So having your child draw a diagram about what could you do to protect your garden, even if it's just for pretend. So there's just so many different things to do. And then there's all the lessons that you can learn from failure, like why didn't this grow, or what was the matter with our soil, or why, what should we plant here next year, or did we get too much sun, or did we not get enough rain? So that's only with the planting part. And then there's the whole harvesting part, right? So then there's the picking and the weighing and the comparing and the how are we going to use what we've grown, and trying new recipes and being willing to try something different and add something new. And then when you're talking about recipes, then you have the whole math thing that you can talk about with fractions and weighing and cutting and all of those kind of things, which are spectacular to do, right? And you try different things with the things that you grow in your garden. I learned something in my garden. Did you know that when you grow lavender in your garden, you can add it to ice cream and it tastes pretty good? It's not as good as chocolate ice cream, of course, but it's pretty darn good. So it's something about taking what you know and adding it to something different. So it's all about taking all of those things. And then there's the whole generational lesson that can be used in gardening as well, where maybe somebody in your family has been a gardener, or maybe there's a grandparent who's really into gardening, or maybe there's some kind of story that you can tell about somebody else's garden. So there's so many of those moments that just occur because of just having the garden in your life or growing something in your life. And when I say garden, it can be a pot, it could be a row of plants, it could be a raised bed, it could be growing in the ground. And then get this, here's something I found out too. You don't even have to have the garden in your own backyard, because there are so many fabulous community gardens. And community gardens are also a great way just to kind of get involved and to learn about gardening without even having to have them in your own backyard. The ones in the South Hills, a lot of community gardens actually donate their produce to a food pantry. So then there's the whole different lesson about learning about giving and food pantries and what you can do to help your community and support your community. So there are so many lessons and so many moments that can happen. And maybe gardening isn't exactly your thing, but just think about all of those moments that sort of just kind of circulate or orbit around gardening. So they're it's kind of just, I think, the one of the very best ways to interact and be able to share and capitalize on those moments of interest, because that's really what teachable moments are. It's capturing and capitalizing on those interests. And if a child is interested in something, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are sharing what you know and then learning about it together. That's the other thing about all of these teachable moments, is that you don't have to be an expert as a caregiver in any of them, because you can learn together as you are discovering whether or not that's going to be something that you're going to be interested in. So gardening, I told you I could talk about it forever. It is one of those teachable moments that I think that it just isn't a moment. It's just something that it can be with you. And again, I'm still not exactly a gardener. I still can't grow anything. Well, that's not true. That isn't true. I actually had peppers on my porch this year, and it was pretty exciting every time I got a pepper, I'm not going to lie. But it is sort of just the kind of thing to be around it and be immersed in it is a good opportunity to learn. Now, that if you haven't had a chance to go back and check out our other teachable moments, I highly suggest it, because some of the other ones, it is kind of funny how each one of these webinars kind of have like a different vibe to them and have a different set of teachable moments in them. But what we want to do is we want to just make sure that you got your gardening kit.
Hi, my name is Jason Hibner, and I'm the program.
Can't get past old Jason. Okay, so did everybody get their gardening kit in the mail, I hope? Yes, I hope you're going to give it a try. Now, this one is super cool, actually, because it has your spot for growing, and then it has a recipe card, which I think is pretty cool, and a little journal thing for you to keep track of what it is that you are growing. Now, I don't know if now is a great time to start your garden, so you might want to wait until spring, just because you want to be able to put it outside. What do you think, Miss Elaine?
I would agree with that. Yes.
Miss Elaine, do you have anything else on gardening?
I'm still just kind of hung up on the lavender ice cream.
It was really good.
You know what else you can add to ice cream from your garden?
What?
Jalapenos. Jalapeno chocolate ice cream, if you like things a little spicy, is also quite delicious. But no, I think you covered everything. I could tell that was near and dear to your heart, as I already knew. But yeah, the only thing I think that I thought of, in addition to the math and the science and the community learning opportunities, doesn't it also teach us patience, right? Because I so often just want the yumminess. I want to taste it. I want to cook with it. I want to make my recipe, but I can't, right? I have to wait for that seed to sprout and for the roots to grow, so it's a process. And so I think gardening can also teach us patience, which is another huge and very necessary life skill.
That's a good one, Miss Elaine. It also taught me, I told you I could talk about gardening forever. It taught me a lot about individual, like when you grow something in the garden, it really does look different than it does at the grocery store. And so just being able to sort of see those vegetables or whatever you were growing in a different setting or whatever, that was kind of different for me.
Well, to see the different stages too, right? In the grocery store, you see the pumpkin when it's orange and round and ready to be picked, right? But it looks quite different during all the stages leading up to that. So I think that's kind of cool too.
And basically, we also only focused on vegetable gardens. I mean, we didn't even cover things like flower gardens and butterfly gardens and cactus gardens and all of the other things that you could do with a garden. Exactly. So, I mean, this is just sort of like a stepping stool, but there are plenty of other kind of gardens out there for you to take a look at as well. All right, so that is basically, that's what we've got for you today. Actually, just this quick little discussion about the 5 videos that we have going on right now. We hope that you enjoy your gardens. We'd like to hear about them. If you and your child decide to garden, you can just email us back at that address that you saw at the beginning. And keep an eye out for the next webinar, which will be the next 5 videos, because we have 5 more videos to share with you before the end of this year and before we get started with the next ones next year. We're so glad that you took the time to be with us today, and we hope that you liked your garden kit. Mrs. Cook, do we have anything else to add?
I don't think so. Just thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
All right. Have a good night.
So much.
Enjoy your gardens.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.